Greetings, Art 200. Welcome to my presentation on the ceaseless, futile mind of Vincent van Gogh. The foundational object I would be delighted to present is Van Gogh's painting of prisoners exercising, a fine art painting that is reminiscent of people's hopelessness and despair. The crude monotony of prison life, a courtyard filled with prisoners confined within ceaseless walls, and darkness seeping in from the windows instead of light, these depictions and the darkness itself, an all-consuming force within this work, all indicate a true social commentary on the reality of asylums and prisons themselves. Van Gogh represents more than just himself and his psychological awareness within his works. He illustrates a growing perception of no escape, no hope, and no real progress for people in a society who need guidance the most, as each prisoner is forced to walk endlessly in a never-ending circle. The fine art painting of Prisoners Exercising by Van Gogh epitomizes a true sense of restraint, despair, and futility. Its intent has arguably been materialized to convey the artist's raw, authentic, real-life story, and the struggles he faced throughout his life. Others contend the artwork's purpose is not representative of Van Gogh himself and his seemingly trapped mind, but just of social commentary. I maintain that both elements are present: Van Gogh's mind that has been taken captive by his inner demons, and the need for a more constructive prisoner's lifestyle. Van Gogh achieves this through his choice of formal elements and biographical and historical context in which the paintings were crafted. He also accomplishes this through demonstrating parallels between this work and similar Van Gogh fine art paintings of the bedroom in Arles and irises. And finally, he achieves these elements through the portrayal of a troubled mental state during arduous times within his life, documented by primary source letters. Vincent van Gogh's artwork Prisoners Exercising comes from a time when he attended St. Paul's Asylum in St. Remy, where he was admitted for his declining mental state in 1890. What I noticed about this piece on first glance was that it expresses the overwhelming anxiety of being stuck on one thing you can't get away from, as it is impossible to pull away from this endless circle, as only one character seems to try. The formal elements of this oil-on-canvas painting are the excessively tall, vertical, and rectangular walls that are seemingly ceaseless, giving the futile feeling of endless captivity and imprisonment within the mind or within the physical reality of what a real prisoner might be feeling. The walls and uneven windows give a more narrow feel and darkness, instead of the light that could otherwise be seeping in from the outside. This suggests there's just another wall boarding it, further elevating the piece into a very expressive art of a trapped human mind. The horizontal bricks amplify a feeling of inactivity and obstruction to the iconographic civilians in an endless circle that repeat the same monotonous task of an unfulfilling nature. The dark brick walls rise out of the shadows, reaching toward a sky and sun that lie far out of the frame to intentionally continue to represent the feeling of a trapped human mind and Vincent van Gogh's psychological awareness of his mental state. The element of time is also evidenced by each of the prisoners' somber glow as they walk in this endless circle. In the 2011 book, Vincent van Gogh, The Life, written by Pulitzer Prize-winning authors Stephen and Smith and published by Random House, identified that with the three sides of the yards walled in and the small arched windows sitting up too high for anyone to reach on the ground, the viewer presumably observes from a vantage point near the fourth wall. At the bottom of the inescapable and endlessly high walls, where the slow, morose circle of prisoners are, it is the prisoner who faces the viewer in the center of the frame upon which the eye immediately focuses. While all of the other characters in the painting wear hats, the blonde, reddish-haired man walks bareheaded, and his gait seems to angle away from the path of the circle as though he intends to leave it. I contend that the man without a hat who is facing the viewer is in fact Vincent van Gogh himself. This can be proven with an artwork we discussed in class, Vincent van Gogh, The Portrait of Dr. Gatchett. The formal element of diagonal lines is evident in this portrait of Dr. Gatchett, as the dwindling flowers are tilting unhealthy in the same angle of the subject's body. Dr. Gatchett's gaze is also very revealing in that it is not focused on anything, which creates apathy or a lack of interest in Dr. Gatchett's eyes, which is supported by the composition which Van Gogh chose as an artificial light source at play, where you can't really tell the light or the time of day. This artwork was produced less than 2 months away from Van Gogh's suicide. This portrait can be a visual record of inner emotional states, such as his Prisoner's Courtwork piece, as well as his many other artworks he painted at St. Remy, such as Irises in 1890, and later on, The Bedroom in Arles. In conclusion of this comparative work, Vincent van Gogh revealed as much about himself as he did his subject. He revealed his own true psychological awareness of his depression and fight with his inner demons. In the 1987 Metropolitan Museum of Art publication by Ronald Pickford and Van Gogh, the publication Van Gogh and St. Remy and Others expresses a concentrated group portrait of violet-blue irises, one lone white flower that stands out like a giant butterfly, and reddish earth and orange marigolds that provide a vivid color contrast. This creates an extremely claustrophobic examination of a fragment of nature that would seem to echo Van Gogh's own decreed confinement. Letter 626 by Vincent van Gogh, received by Theo, published by Vincent van Gogh Art Gallery in 2001, states, Vincent van Gogh's reservations about coming to Paris to see his mother and his brother Theo because he is aware of his declining mental state, as he quotes, "But we mustn't be in a hurry to change," while also embodying an unspoken criticism of the frustrating monotony of life during his stay there at St. Remy Asylum. Also in Stephen and Smith's publication, there is a quote by Theo in response to Vincent's art critic, in which he states, "You have read these pictures, and by doing so you clearly saw the man." This is significant because it demonstrates how Van Gogh represents his real-life struggles of chronic ailments, frequent illnesses, loneliness, and obsessive qualities he has experienced since childhood, that he then showcases through his artworks. The last artwork I will be presenting is by Vincent van Gogh, The Bedroom in Arles. The floors and the walls in this painting consist of vertical lines, and the bed frame has horizontal and vertical lines, which gives us an idea of the texture in this piece, but also perspective. The painting seems to fold in on you. The vertical lines contribute to a room that feels much narrower than if used horizontal lines for a wider effect. In addition, the colors red, yellow do not make it seem like it's a great place to sleep and rest. The Bedroom of Arles directly parallels Vincent van Gogh's Prisoners Exercising painting, as they both embody confinement. In conclusion, whether it be Prisoners Exercising, The Bedroom of Arles, or The Irises of 1890, all these paintings convey the artist's raw, authentic, real-life stories and the struggles he's faced throughout his life, while also representing the struggles of real people like the prisoners in the scene.